We were in the cabin getting some stuff cleaned up today, and over the weekend had the boys in camp here at the house, and we were hunting some private ground and some public ground, trying to beat this time period that that I've kind of coined, or not coined, but kind of labeled over the years as the feeling of the November lull. You all know what, if you follow along, you all know my feelings on the October lull and what causes the October lull. And this time of the year we experience, so we sadly experience it here in the state of Michigan, probably more so than a lot of other states do. But the point to this whole video here is how to stay positive today. Like I said, we're in the house here cleaning up after the weekend. It elected not to. The reason that it sparked this video was elected to cool temperatures, and I've elected to not be in the blind this morning. And why is that? I feel that the only way that you can rebound during the post rut and be successful. Now, I have not punched a tag in the early season. I'm on 12, I think, or 14 immature bucks this year, and that's a choice that I made. A couple of them, I'm in between farms here with the house farm being sold, and getting to the new property, and we're not able to hunt that yet. And I've got some other spots that we hunt, private and public, and just trying to get through the rest of the season here is to staying positive. And what does the post rut mean? Well, the post rut to me means you have to be able, first thing you have to do just to be successful during the post rut is you want to be able to take yourself out of the pressure equation. A lot of folks that I'm able to reach out to, or that reach out to me, that go through our program, over that first year or two, you're not going to experience that October lull like you used to. Now, hopefully, once you experience that, then you can see the benefits of not being able to experience the November lull. The problem with it is even more so in November than in October. You have to have quite a large parcel to not experience the October lull here, or the November lull here in Michigan, is because of our hunter numbers, and the Orange Army, as you hear, and I'm part of the Orange Army, I guess, as well. But that flood the woods, and it creates a lot of pressure. And it takes a long time for the deer to react to that, to get back to normal, the normal ways of the October movement, if you will, and how they normally, how they maneuver throughout the whitetail woods. In October, it takes them a long time to get back to that. To be honest with you, they never get back to that same patterns fully. But as hunters, you have to be able to adjust to that and make the rest of your season count, instead of just throwing in the towel and giving up. And that's what I see a lot happening during the post rut, especially here in a high pressured state like Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin. That happens a lot, where we might have last year 2019 numbers, don't quote me, but 533,000 hunters harvested over 420 or 430,000 deer. Doesn't take long to do the math, and the deer that did make it through the gun season, he's not going to be showing himself during daylight for quite some time. And so we can sit here, I could make a whole video, multiple videos, on how to be to blame the state, and there's a whole thing, that whole line of stuff that comes with that. But other than touching on the bait situation a few weeks ago, that I'm not real happy to see how the state is handling that, and the mixed messages that we're getting, and all that stuff that ties to it. It goes back to us in general, as far as who wants to be successful in the rest of the season, as far as the post rut and late season, and who wants to throw in the towel. Sounds very point blank, but that's the truth. The older I get, the longer I do not like the cold. I don't, because of a back issue that I've had over the past several years, and back surgery. I cannot stay medication. I can't stay warm anymore, and it seems like every year it gets worse. So I'm not the cold temperature guy that I was before. That ties into this. So you have the post rut, first of all, that's labeled at the top here. You have that post rut, and what is the post rut? The post rut is you're not going to see those bucks on their feet cruising for that last doe, or those last couple of does, like you will in a low pressured state. You're going to see complete lockdown happening, and that complete lockdown is not I'm not speaking of the lockdown on the does. I'm speaking of the lockdown in survival mode, when there's that many people in a state that are out with the guns. So that is the post rut. That's that time period when that should be happening. Those bucks should be on their feet looking for those last receptive does. But in a high pressure state, that doesn't happen. They go into survival mode, and so your biggest thing is to be successful. What do you do? How do you be successful during the post rut? And so when we talked about cold temperatures, that ties into the next point. Cold temps to me, guys, is a great reason to stay out of the woods in the morning. And the reason is the lower temps you get, we all wait for those low temps, right? We wait for a low temperature October morning to be successful, to get the post rut kicking, and to get those bucks on their feet. We all wait for a cold November morning hunt. But in the post rut, going into the post rut and later in the season here, cold temperatures work exactly opposite of what we all want them to, or a lot of times what we think they do. A heavy frost morning are going to lay your deer up. Now, if you think that watching your trail cameras, you got these deer that are 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning that are going back past, that are in your bedding areas, and they're already there, which is probably the biggest reason not to be in the woods is you're wasting your time. 2, a frosty morning is if you're in an area where you don't have a lot of acres to begin with, and you're kind of pushing the envelope between bedding and feeding to begin with to get inside of that, even if you are side accessing, and you go crunching in there even if it's dark, and on a 20-25 degree morning, and you're crunching the woods up, if you will, and you're going to create more deer funneling out the bottom of those food plots, and you're ruining your evening hunts is what you're doing. Usually in the evening, whether we'll get another little dusting or snow, or it does warm up just a little bit, and it takes that crunch out of the spectrum, I guess you will. You can get into those stand locations a lot quieter. You're able to see going into those stands. So if you do jump something up, or if you can see them bedded on a side hill that maybe it does have a little sun on it, that you're able to take advantage of that and harvest something on the way into the stand. In the morning, you don't. You're pretty much blowing everything out on the way in there. So get some sleep and recoup, and focus on what's to come here. There's a time period coming down the road here, and I'm not even going to touch on the strategies of how to make that happen, because I don't want folks thinking about transitioning to destination feed locations yet. But there is a very powerful time period here coming ahead of us that a lot of folks don't make it to, is because they get burnt out and they just throw in the towel, during the post rut, and they never get to that point as far as what we used to know here Michigan as our muzzleloader season, which we don't have anymore, and also our late bow season here in Michigan, and that's something I look forward to, because you can a lot of numbers of people drop off. It takes some pressure out of the woods, and then you're able to get back on some patterning, feed focus hunts, if you will. So temperatures, gun season wrapped up into that, and the post rut. Those are kind of the topics that we're going to talk about today. And the biggest thing is being positive, taking your field notes. So I've got a couple of videos coming down the road here. One is focusing on some notes here on what you can do, what you should be doing right now to better your next October hunt. And the other one is going to be a video on that late season hunting and how to be successful there. Especially if you're in an area that I see is a lot of areas that experience such a November lull because of pressure. A lot of those areas, handled correctly now, can rebound, and you can have a very successful late season. Yes, it depends on your success, depends on what was harvested during the gun season, the bow season and gun season. I don't want this to sound like I'm picking on the gun season at all, but in an area that your chances dramatically drop each day of a gun season, as far as harvesting anything, it can set the stage for a very long postseason deer hunt. So late season deer hunt. So take those topics. Think about the next. It really has to be an extremely perfect morning, for me to hunt this time of the year going forward. It has to be, I don't recommend that to my clients at all. So take that into consideration. Really, determine or decide if you should even be in the woods on the morning hunts. If you're going to be in there, I'd highly recommend not doing on a cold morning, so it's not so crunchy that you're blowing everything out before you get in there, and focus that attention back to those evening sits. And the other things like we talked about is just preparing yourself going into the rest of the season here on what can be salvaged, and staying, like I said, it goes back to that. It goes back to staying positive. This is the point of the season where the endurance kicks in, and like I said, I could have I could have filled both my Michigan tags here, and now this is multiple years of this happening, but I haven't put a tag on anything this year. Is a couple of those areas I was hoping to get the boys on, because they're still after that. They're still just as happy with those 2 and 3 year old deer. So the couple of the critters that I'm after, I'm not sure if they made it through the gun season. A couple of them are in small private parcels where they could have been harvested by the neighbors that don't kind of show and tell, and some of it's out on public ground. So I don't know what's left. I know next year going into the new property that we have, hopefully we can change a little more success a little bit earlier, so we're not kind of waiting for pick up the leftovers, if you will. And there's so much great that can be learned, taken into next year, and there's so much that can be salvaged yet going into the rest of the season. It's just a mindset that you have to place yourself in right now to be able to get there. So looking forward, going down the rest of the couple of the weeks here, or we've got 8 days or 9 days, whatever it is here left in the state of Michigan of our gun season, and then we've got some other stuff here planned coming down the road for them late season hunts, and it all hinges on right now the decisions that you make. And one of the biggest things, like I can tell you, is a couple things. One, patience. Two, stay out of those spots in the morning. Focus your attention back on evening hunting, and that's why, because you're experienced in the November lull, and you definitely do not want to add. You don't want to add fuel to that fire, and just extend that success. If there's any success left to be had, you don't want to prolong that any longer than it has to be, right? We'll be bringing some stuff here, hopefully more videos back to back. It's hard to be a one-man filmer and editor, and usually when I got time to edit something down, I'm in an area that doesn't have service. So that's kind of that's where we're at right now. Those are the things coming up here, no matter where you're at in the country. A lot of folks don't experience that November lull, and don't experience that high pressure that we do here, in the north or the northeast, and that's great. I hope you never experience it, because you get to this point right now, and maybe you can even hear it in my voice. It's especially when you got 2 teenage boys that are trying to, they love rifle hunting. My son hunts with his great grandfather's deer rifle. And there's a lot of stuff tied to that. They want to squeeze the trigger. They want to put something on the wall. That buck up here in the corner right there is a buck that my son was able to harvest a couple of years ago with that same rifle. So that's the tradition. There's a lot of stuff tied to that. So but right now you've got to have quite the large acreage to not experience that November lull. And the only way to salvage the rest of the season is to be positive, to focus towards the future, and keep them, field notes in the back of your mind, but don't dwell on it, and focus your attention on the rest of the fall here, and be successful, and add to a collection. If you don't, you'll add to your collection of tag soup material, if you will, instead of putting stuff on the wall. So what's the old saying? It's a marathon, not a sprint. Well, this is the time of the year that you really start seeing that really shines true, that you have to just be patient. And there's some powerful hunts coming here in about 8 to 10 days that we're going to speak of, and how to make that happen, because you'll hear my anticipation and teaching start ramping up here going to that, because I really believe that it's a powerful time. But in order to be successful at that time, you have to be able to have something left. So stay positive, stay focused, and stay tuned. And like I always say, stay whitetail driven.